Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Health and Wellness Show. My name is Chebet Birir. Remember, this is the show where we educate you, we empower you, and we inspire you to take full control of your health and live your best life. Now, today we want to talk about a crisis, teenage pregnancies. In Kenya, 18% of all pregnancies are teenage pregnancies. And this means that every 1 in 5 teenage girls between the age of 15 and 19 are either pregnant, or we use the term expectant, or have given birth to their first child. And we'll not talk about it just because it's a crisis, but because we have people who have overcome the crisis. And on set today, we have Nancy Kavuka, who is a sexual health and reproductive health expert. We also have Coleman Onyango, who is a sociologist, a menstrual hygiene advocate, but also he has interacted with many of these girls at community level. So he will explain to us the situation on the ground. Last but not least, we have Marianne Joki. Marianne is a fourth-year student in criminology, and she's also a personal development coach. But most importantly, why she's here is because she gave birth to her first child at 17 years old. So Marianne will explain to us her journey and how she was able to overcome the stigma, the stress of being a teenage mom. Karibuni sana to the show.
Thank you so much.
Now I want us to just start with Marianne. Karibu sana Marianne Njoki. So just tell us, how has the journey been? What was your first reaction when you discovered that you were pregnant at the age of 17?
Okay, thank you, Chebet. So I was 17 back then, and it was around December. And at this time, my mom was just discharged from hospital, and she was after undergoing a surgery. So the reaction to me, I was just devastated, and I felt like a failure, as in looking back to that young version of me when I was 12, 7, I had dreams, I wanted to be a mom when I had established myself. So, and here I am, I'm just 17 years old, and it's not a new chapter, it's just a different route of my life. So I was afraid. I was disappointed in me. I just couldn't look myself in the mirror because I felt like I had failed my mom, because she has raised me and I had seen her struggle, and I didn't want the same for myself. And I felt like I had failed my kid too. I hadn't met him back then, but I knew I had failed him and the society at large, because I didn't know how to tell her, and I didn't know how to tell anybody else. And actually I thought I was dreaming.
Okay. How old? Oh, you were 17. What stage of education were you in, and which year was this?
Oh, it was back in 2020. It was the COVID time. So I was in Form 4. So, but we had just gone back to school for the November, December study for the second semester, second term. And now we had just that Christmas break. And now we are going back to school in January for my last term to do my examinations. So, yeah.
Okay, and how did people around you react, especially your colleagues or fellow students?
Okay, I'd say for my fellow students, nobody knew. As you can see, I'm a tiny person. So I guess that saved me, because nobody knew. And only the few people that I told, my friends, of which they kept the secret for me. So everyone else came to know about it when I had given back now in September 2021. So that is when I had that everyone was reacting differently. But at this point, the hard part was already over, because I felt like it was better when they were knowing when I'm not in school. So I'd say I didn't have that negative reaction from them, because they never knew I was pregnant back in school.
Okay. You'll tell us how you overcame those challenges later, but let's first talk to Nancy. You are a reproductive health expert, and you've interacted many times with teenage moms and pregnant teens. Tell us, what is the situation in Kenya, and what are some of the challenges that these teen moms present when you interact with them?
Thank you so much, Chebet. Teenage pregnancy is a public health concern. Yeah, in the Kenya Demographic Health Survey Report 2022, we had a list of top 10 counties that are leading in teenage pregnancy. The one that took the biggest share was Samburu County, leading with 50.1%. Then we have West Pokot with 38%, down to Marsabit, to Narok and Meru County at 23%. And these percentages are proportion of the teenage girls aged between 15 to 19 years who during that survey were pregnant. For teenage pregnancies, back then we've had a cabinet secretary terming it as a crisis. Yeah. So, and in my experience as a nurse, yeah, I think the youngest we've ever attended to was a 13-year-old last year, 13-year-old who was pregnant, and she was actually coming in for antenatal care. Okay. So I do agree. There are so much loopholes in our system, and there's not enough information out here. And of age, they do have the information, yes, but it's not the right information. Hence the curb of teen pregnancies that we're still discussing to date.
All right, there's the aspect of information, but what are other aspects do you think are making the rates remain high in the country?
One of the, and from the top counties that I've mentioned, one of them is the cultural, yeah? The
like
culture, yes, the culture. And some cultures to date would take like early marriage. Early marriages are still accepted and they still practice it. The poverty levels that you'll have some household in the counties, in the villages are being led by teen. So they will have transactional sex for them to survive. There are no parents. They have a grandmother who cannot fend for themselves. So the teen who is there is able to do or engage in transactional sex so that they can provide for the family. And the list goes on. Okay. Lack of information. They do not easily access comprehensive sexual education. So in this age, you are in a state where you're either vulnerable, you're in an enabling enabling environment, if I would put it, where you have a minor who's in the home and someone takes advantage of them. We are talking about gender-based violence. So there's so many aspects that lead to teen pregnancies. Yeah.
And we'll unpack all of those. But let's engage Coleman. Coleman, you're from Mathare North, and you also interact with many of these teens as a sociologist. What would you say are the unique challenges for the underserved communities in terms of teenage pregnancies?
I want to echo what my fellow discussant has alluded to, that teenage pregnancy at some point in time had been declared as a national disaster. And it having been declared as a national disaster actually tells us something about, it is communicating something to us about our social, makeup as a society. There is a gap somewhere that is now, that void is being filled by these cases of teenage pregnancies. And narrowing it down to underserved communities, the challenges are very many when it comes to issues to do with teenage pregnancies. First of all, let us look at the predisposing factors. How is it that these underserved communities are really so much affected when it comes to cases of teenage pregnancies? One, you'd find that in the underserved communities, the kind of lifestyle that we have there, people live per day, yes, and parents would leave their houses every day in search of means of survival for their households, and they stay away for a very long time. So if you take a typical day, for example, you'd find that these children are just left to their own designs. So it becomes a kind of what my colleague has said, an enabling environment for them to now just engage in whatever they want to engage in, because there is that disconnect between the child and the parent. Yes.
Miriam, tell us, how was your situation? Were you well informed? Or what would you say led to your pregnancy? Is it uninformed choices, or an enabling environment, as Coleman is putting it?
Okay, for me, I'd say it's neither of what they've stated. Because maybe for me, I look back and I see it's about childhood traumas. Yeah, where it's not about the environment. It's just about, it's not the environment you're here right now, it's about where you've come from. And when you find someone who actually tells you, those, you're beautiful and you matter, so you actually feel you matter. So if I had that, what do I call it, a good background from the place where your dad is there and he's telling you, you know what, you're pretty, you're good and you can do this.
You're
but now
validated.
but now you're hearing it from a stranger, and actually you find it's the first time someone has looked into you in a different way, and actually you feel you belong. So yeah.
Okay. You've come a long way, and I know right now you know that you're beautiful and you're worthy. And we'll talk about, let's just talk about the challenges that you faced after you realized that you were expecting a child, and then we'll come to Nancy to explain the challenges the general challenges that teen moms face. So
maybe if I can just
yes, please.
qualify something about what she has said. The idea of hearing, something about yourself from a stranger, and what you are hearing is kind of nice music to your ears. Technically, we refer to that as groping. What this stranger is basically doing is preparing you to prey on you, make you their prey. So they will come with all niceties. Okay, there are those that will actually kind of disparage you to a point where you feel like you are not yourself. Then on this particular day, when they now flip the other side of the coin and they start praising you, you are just like an easy catch for them. Because you'll be, the first question that will linger into your mind is it for real that this guy is now appreciating me? He's been all these negative, making these negative statements about me. How come today he's suddenly changed all of a sudden? That is one way of baiting our young girls, our teenagers. The other side of it is you are constantly being praised and you don't understand why. Okay, so much that you are like, oh, I think this is the world where I should belong. Yeah, and before you know it, you get yourself into their hands.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do agree, actually, and it starts with the way he has put it. They groom you, and they have these apps, and they have in social spaces. You'll find apps where the teen would join in, and they get that validation. They post a picture, they get a validation from this stranger. They groom you, they get you to trust them, and before you know it, it's a different story.
A trap.
Yeah, it's a trap. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
All right. Njoki, how did you now go through that process? Did this man, did he disappear after realizing you were expectant, or was it a genuine person? If you're not okay to talk about it, we'll pass.
Okay. I'd say, maybe, yeah, he stayed. But it's the point where someone stays, but he doesn't offer a hand. So I'm just here. Yeah, I'm here. But when you need some water, nobody can give you, get.
I get it.
Yeah.
And that is the case with many of these men. Coleman, as a man, do you involve these boys and men in conversations on how to prevent teenage pregnancies?
Actually, Chebet, I think there is a whole lot of intricacies that go into the setup of things. In my experience working with these teenage girls in the underserved communities, I have discovered one thing, that most of the boys that are part of the scenario come from families that are actually complete families. Okay. Mother, father, and maybe other siblings. Okay, and one thing that I have come to learn over time is that once now, okay, you have a scenario where you have this young girl who is a victim of teenage pregnancy, and they have disclosed to you in confidence that the boy concerned is so and so. And then you trace back and you find that this boy has parents, and you are trying to reach out to these parents to actually now like sit them down and talk to them that this is the reality of things. I don't know whether your son has actually disclosed this to you, or maybe I'm the first person coming to you with this news. And the level of resistance that comes from the parents of the concerned boy is out of this world. It is like,
what are some of the responses?
It is like what we hear in the insurance world. Don't admit liability.
Until
yes, you get.
Until proven.
Until proven. You get.
So what do they say? Do you want to do a DNA or
no. Yeah, but some parents would actually want to go that way, go that direction. We want to do a DNA. But I have always insisted that before we think of doing that DNA, can we have the boy and the girl sit down and we discuss this? Because I am also, it is not like I'm doing this coming from nowhere. I'm also a parent.
Yes.
And, sometimes you might think that these are stories that belong to other families and not your family until basically they knock onto your door. So in the course of talking, you find that actually the boy would own up. Of course, to the disappointment of the parents, yeah.
Yes.
But they would own up, and at that point is when now I stamp my feet on the ground and say that now this is a shared responsibility, yeah, and shared on this in the sense that if your son you think he's still not come of age to actually be a teenage father, okay, then it is now that burden is passed on to the family. So can you begin to make arrangements on how this lady or this young girl can be assisted? Yeah, because of course, the general trend is that once a girl gets herself into a situation like that, she becomes the burden of her family. Okay. Yes. Now and some families, because of that, you will find that some families are very hostile to the child, to the girl child, to the point that they would even, threaten excommunicating her from the family. Wow. I've seen that happen in some communities. Okay. Yeah, it's a very unfortunate thing, and I think a time has come when we need to really not continue, hiding our heads in that proverbial sand. Yeah, so we need to come out and thrash out these issues soberly as a community. Okay,
Coleman, we have cases of now the teen boy and the teen mom, but we also have cases of an older man and it's defilement, engaging with sex with a teenager. What do you do in the community level? And Marianne is also a criminologist in the making. You'll tell us if this inspired you to be a criminologist and what you think can be done in the system. Because in many cases, you'll find that these people go scot-free. And nothing is done, no justice is done. And if it is done, unambiwa, we are settling it out of court. But I feel like it should be done the legal way. They face the full of the law, because this is defilement. And if you don't punish, it will continue. So what do you do in the community? And then Joki, you'll tell us if this is why you are doing criminology and what you think the gaps are in the system. Coleman.
Defilement, defilement is crime. And there is no other way of looking at it. So cases of defilement are cases that must be addressed within the legal framework that is existing. And where we see some kind of laxity on the part of the officers who are supposed to actually take up this matter and pursue it legally, the only recourse we have is to branch off to other institutions like the Human Rights Commission, like the Ombudsman and such kind of institutions. But what I want to insist upon is that defilement is crime, and it has to be handled as a case of crime.
Okay. Marianne, why criminology?
And maybe before she speaks, beyond that, I have also seen incidences where parents, actually a parent impregnating their own daughter.
Yeah. Incest and defilement combined.
Yes. So those are very prevalent cases in these underserved communities, because ordinarily an underserved community is, just as the term suggests, it is underserved.
Underserved.
In very many respects.
I agree.
Yes.
So we'll talk about that, but let Njoki tell us why she decided to do criminology and also the gaps in terms of teenage pregnancies and older perpetrators.
Okay. So the reason why I chose criminology is because being a teen mom, it actually makes you vulnerable, and actually it puts you in a place where you're treated differently, and it's so easy for you to go the other way. As in, you're there, you're young, and you're trying not to be a burden to anyone, especially your family. So you can choose crime. It can be an easy way out for you to provide for your kids, to provide for yourself. So actually, I just wanted to understand how the societal factors can actually compel someone to commit crime. I just wanted to understand the criminal psychology, how the brain of a criminal person works, and what leads to that.
Okay, thank you, Njoki. We want to take a short break, but when we come back, Nancy, who is also a nurse, apart from being a reproductive health expert, will tell us about the medical challenges that teenage moms face. Don't go away. Welcome back. If you just tuned in, we are talking about teenage pregnancies, and this is the Health and Wellness Show. My name is Chebet Birir, and on set, I have a sociologist, Coleman Onyango. I have a personal development coach who overcame a teenage pregnancy and now has a son who is 4 years old. 4 years old. Congratulations. And we also have Nancy Lynn Kavuka, who is a reproductive health expert and is also a nurse. And at this particular point, I want us to explain to us the challenges that teenage moms face when they present themselves to hospital. And also you'll find many teen moms don't actually go for antenatal clinics. So please tell us about that.
So for a teenage girl, we're looking at their body are not yet ready for childbirth. Ages between 15 and 19, anatomically they're not ready. So we are looking at facing challenges to do with labor during childbirth. So those are childbirth obstruction during delivery. We're looking at having anemia. We're looking at having postpartum hemorrhage. And most of these teenage mothers will not show up to the antenatal clinic until when it's too late because of fear of stigma and fear of being judged. And some of the leading causes, by the way, of maternal mortality is postpartum hemorrhage, is preeclampsia. You're looking at unsafe abortion, and you're also looking at anemia as part of it. So for teenage mothers who are going for delivery of a child and they are not yet ready, some of these complications could easily arise, and they would end up a case where you lose both the mother and the child, or you lose the mother and you leave the child alone. And accessing to these services for the antenatal clinic is faced by the judgment. You'd fear walking into a healthcare facility. The healthcare providers will judge you. And we've worked with the trainings of capacity building healthcare providers in offering youth-friendly services in the facility. Do we offer services with privacy to the young people? When they walk into a facility, are they able to open up? Do you have the confidentiality that they can trust in you? Most of them have fear, the fear of walking into a facility, talking to someone. And some of the things that I've worked is we do have a hotline number. And this hotline number, it's called Nena na Binti, a toll-free number. This toll-free number, we receive calls and calls from as young as 13-year-old, 14-year-old, they are pregnant, they've missed their menses, and they would want to know why is it that they've not seen their menses. So all this time they are almost due to delivery. They've not stepped in any healthcare facility. How do you start helping this young woman, this young girl to visit a facility? And when they walk into the facility, the first thing a healthcare provider does is judging them. So they will walk out. They end up in to quacks procuring unsafe abortion. And that's how we come again discussing about the maternal mortality in Kenya. Yeah.
Thank you, Nancy, and thank you for the good work you're doing. We'll talk about now the postpartum stage of teenage pregnancies. But for now, Njoki, tell us, how was your journey after you discovered you're expectant? Did you start going for clinics? What happened after that until you gave birth to your child?
Okay, what happened first was I went back to school. I completed my Form 4, and then after that I went back home, and immediately I went back home. My mom made sure I started my antenatal clinics. So that was it. I used to, going for the clinics every month and until the day for my delivery, and yeah, that was that. And now I had some complications here and there, but...
What were some of the complications that you went through?
Okay. First, the doctor communicated that I wouldn't give birth normally because my pelvic bone wouldn't open. So I had to labor for a whole day, because the following day when I was waking up and I had those labors, and the nurse she said there's some hope. Maybe a miracle can happen. You're still young. We don't want to give you that wound. And I labored that whole day until it was 4, and it was too much. And I was like, no, it's too much. And then after that, I went to the theater, and by the end of the day, I had my son. So that was that until I gave birth.
Okay. And how was it now after you've given birth to your son? Did you have depression, anxiety? Was your family supportive?
Okay, I come from a single mom family, and we're just 2 of us, just me and my sister, my younger sister. So for me, my mom was supportive, but she's the breadwinner of the family, so she can't stay there with me. She just stayed with me just a week, but at this point, I'm still not in a good position. Not stable enough, and I still have to take care of my son. So it was challenging because I still have to do 1, 2, 3 by myself in the house, and my sister was in high school. She was in Form 1. So but my mom was supportive. I'd say she was really supportive.
Okay, that's great. And thank you for also being strong for yourself and for your son. Look where you are right now. We'll come to you, Coleman, but first, Nanceline, please repeat the hotline number that you mentioned for teenage moms who want help with the crisis.
So the hotline number is called Nena na Binti. Nena na Binti, loosely translated to talk to a girl.
Okay.
Anytime a teenage would call, they'll be able to be, depending on their needs, if it's a mental health issue, if it's access to sexual reproductive health information. So the toll-free number is 0800
0800
211
227.
Yes.
If you're watching this and you feel like you're in a crisis, that's the number to call.
Yes.
0800
211
227. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, Coleman, tell us what happens now when the child is born, especially in those communities. You have a teen boy and a teen mom. We'll start with that case, and then we'll go to the older perpetrators. How do you handle those crises?
This is a very complicated
I understand.
area.
Yes.
Because from the word go, in these underserved communities, teenage pregnancy is considered an additional expense way before even the child is born. Because it is looked at in terms of the special needs of the young mother while still expectant, and then the immediate needs of the same young mother and their child after childbirth, all the way. And that kind of, complicates matters for these families, and especially for like in her case, where hers is like a single mom's kind of family setup. And what I have observed over time in these underserved communities where we have father and mother, there is always this blame that the fathers put on the mother. That look at how your child is behaving, So that kind of back and forth between parents does not really create a very good environment for the young mother. And in most cases, you would find them that you would find them wishing that they just walked out of those their families and set base somewhere else. So when the time comes for these mothers to now deliver, you find they're always in most cases they're all by themselves. Nobody's there for them. So it is very rare to find that these families are supportive. And if a family is going to be supportive in the underserved communities, it is about securing an abortion.
Yes, unfortunately.
Unfortunately. Yeah, and because the cost of securing an abortion which is healthy is that exorbitant, so they would go for,
quacks.
Yes. I remember when I was starting the journey of providing these sanitary pads to school-going girls within my sample within Madare. It was a very sorry state for me, a very sorry sight, so to say, for me, because it was at the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic, and schools had closed. And my daughter used to, I would see a number of about 5 young girls, my daughter's age mates, walk into my house, and at first I was not very keen to really know why this was happening. I just thought my daughter was being, visited by her age mates. Yes. And one day I asked her, look, I see your friends. I look at their faces and it is like there is something which I'm reading. What exactly is happening with them? They appear like there's something they want to confide in me, but it's like they don't have that courage. Okay? And then my daughter disclosed, broke the news to me. Like, oh, you know what? Those are my friends. We were in the same primary school with them. After primary school, each one of us went their separate ways to different high schools. But now that the schools are closed as a result of the COVID-19, now we are visiting each other. But in the process of this, I have discovered that they're all expectant.
Wow.
And so the next time when they came back to my house, I sat them down and I wanted to know from them, how did this happen? And the one thing that they mentioned to me that led them into this was lack of sanitary pads.
Exactly.
Just that.
Sex for pads.
Yes.
It's a crisis.
And then this is at the peak of COVID-19, where households, income for households has diminished because fathers are no longer going to work. People have been laid out. Mothers are no longer going to work. Yet, periods for the girl child is really something which you have no option. When it has to come. If it doesn't come, it means you are not healthy. You see? So, and okay, you did not have a sanitary pad, and so that led you into this. With who?
With who?
Yes. And then it is either with the boda or with this caretaker. You get?
I get it.
Yeah, because these young girls would come to their parents, asking for these sanitary pads, and they would be rebuffed. We don't even have enough for food. You are talking about sanitary pads, right?
And Coleman, now when the girl becomes expectant, you see, it actually breeds more inequality in terms of gender, because you'll find that actually 13% of these girls or more, the number could be higher, they don't go back to school. after you get a child, now you have the responsibility of taking care of these parents. And you'll find that in many families now they tell you, sasa hatuna pesa ya kukurudisha shule because itabidi tuchunge mtoto. Nancy, what are you doing, or what can we do to ensure that there's equality in terms of making sure that these children go to school after giving birth, and also that the teen boy is also taught responsibility at that young age? Most importantly, the perpetrators are brought to book.
And thank you. Your questions allude to the support, the community.
Yes.
The government has a role to play in it. We've seen the return to school policy. Return to School Policy 2019 revised in 2022 by the Ministry of Health, where there's no readmission fee for a teenage girl who dropped out of school due to pregnancy. And when they are let to go back to school, how are they supported? And we have the national guidelines for re-entry, where we have teachers and the county representatives are guided on how to step by step allow the teenage girl to go back to school. They are able to not pay any readmission fee, and they have given the psychological support. Remember, this has led to stigma. They've isolated themselves, and the community is using them as an example to even other kids. Yeah, don't be like so and so. Stop working with one or two. You'll be like so and so at the end of the day.
Yes.
So this psychological support also is mental support. You're supporting them because it's their first time. They've never had this child. How do they take care of the child at home? What nutrition status, what nutrition value can they add, or can they be able to offer to this growing child? And this support is looked into from the whole community. How are you able to support a teenage girl who has gone back to school to chase again their dreams? And for the boy child is much to do with the parental support and involving the men, because when we are talking about teenage pregnancy, where are they getting these pregnancies from?
Men,
where are they getting them from? So it's a high time we also involve the boy. As much as we are empowering the girl, involving the boy, involving the men, discussing in sexual reproductive health. And as I had alluded, I had mentioned earlier, it's not about, we're talking about age only, the circumstances in which this teenage girl is into. There are so many perpetrators. So we are looking at the government, if we are able to push for support with the laws enforcing them, so that the sexual offenders are able to brought to book, and they're able to be brought to book and pay for what they did.
Face the full force of the law.
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly. So it has a lot to do with the support from the government, those civil society organizations that are working, that the government can support them, and the community at large.
All right. Thank you so much, Nanceline. Njoki, you're also a personal development coach, and I know you interact a lot with teenagers. Is there something you're doing to prevent teenage pregnancies? And also, what do you think needs to be done more in our country?
Okay, I'd say for me, what needs to be done more is just creating that environment for that young teen mom where she can run to. You know, sometimes everything is too hard, as in you just don't know who to talk to. So once they have that person to run to, so that support system, because there are there's situations where the family cuts tie with the girl, you know, and the man responsible is nowhere to be found, and this girl needs someone to talk to. She needs someone to tell her it's okay.
Things will be fine.
So I guess creating that environment for that person, and for the society, I'd say where the society shifts from empathy, from, you know, being judgmental to empathy, you know, you have to just support that person, because everyone else looks you, at that point everyone sees you as a failure, and as she has said, everyone is like, don't be like fulani, uskweka fulani, don't engage with someone, because once you engage with them, you might become like them. So if the society can shift from that and just support them, you know, it will be good for the teen moms, for them to just empower themselves and to be better versions of themselves tomorrow.
Can I add something?
Just, I was coming to you, so please.
Yes. I think your question is what can be done to address issues of teenage pregnancies in our
country, in our communities.
Yes. I want to look at it in maybe 2-3 ways. Number one, I want to call upon the government to come up with a piece of law that is actually going to compel the family of the boy to also get involved in supporting this young girl, in her pursuits for the dream that you're saying about, her future dream. Because as things stand, Chebet, there is nothing that actually compels the other family. Because for every teenage pregnancy, there is a boy involved. There's a man involved. Yes. And where this boy that is involved in this comes from a family, what compels that family to be part of the needs the special needs that this young girl, the teen mom now, finds herself into? So I would want to see a situation where we have that piece of law that compels the other family. Number two, education for a teen mom. I want to consider it special education. Special in the sense that this is no longer an ordinary student.
Yes.
The traditional student that we know. Because she's not going through adult education, neither is she going through the normal education because of her very unique, position in the society. She's a mother. She's a mother, yet she's also a child who is supposed to go to school. So up until we consider the education as special education, we may still be losing out on one or two things. Because going back to school is good enough, but what are the modalities that we have in place that will support, their education once they go back to school? Do we have anything do we have anything in place that will assure her reintegration into the school system, in whichever school? Because I have seen, in most cases, the government insists that they have to go back to the school where they were before they were
expectant.
Yes. That may not work because of that stigmatization thing. They like you said, these are girls who have already isolated themselves without
from the society,
without their willingness. Okay, and now at the same school where they were, they had friends. Okay, they have peers there who already know that so and so is not with us today because
she got a baby.
Yes. Then you go back to the same school. How do these peers begin looking at you?
But isn't that perpetuating stigma even more?
Yes.
Who needs to be taught? Is it the expectant mom or now the society where she's going back to? Njoki and Nancy, please tell us about that. What do you think?
For me, I feel like the society, that is why I said they should shift their focus, not from being judgmental. They should be empathetic. They should just accept her and just help her, offer a hand.
Because you see, in a case where she has to transfer, this is cost. There are cost implications. She has to pay readmission fees. And imagine if she's coming from a less privileged background.
The policy states that they are able to
go to any school.
They can go to a new school choice. Or they can go to the specific school that they dropped out from. So there is no readmission fee in that specific school. And the guideline states that they have a choice, either to go to a new school or to go to the same school.
Yes. Let me get this clearly. Yes. The policy is clear that they need to go back to school.
They have
of
to
their
go
choice.
To school of their choice.
Yes, of their choice. If they choose to go back to the same school where they were previously, where they previously were, then there is no readmission fee.
Yes.
What about
how
the
about
new
if they
school?
went to a different school?
That's the question I was asked. Will they have to pay the admission fees?
How the policy works and the Ministry of Education, I believe they would have to communicate from a previous school that they are joining in this school. Maybe they'll have to pay just the term fee and not pay like a new admission as per se. But of course, if it's in a new school, then you have to shop for a new uniform,
Exactly.
new books, and
So
what
what
have
is
you.
new-
Now that is an
expenditure.
impact, and
Yes.
it is expenditure that is
Yes.
coming back to a family that is not able because they are living in this underserved community.
Exactly.
You get?
But in all
So-
in all, we have to talk to the community
Exactly.
how to embrace and welcome them back.
Yes.
They are not isolated because of something that can't be
And
undone.
it's
you know,
not a crime.
It's not a crime. They need to be talked to. They need to be welcomed and reintroduced back to school. And allow me talk about self-care when we are discussing about a teenage mother, a teenage, a young adolescent women. Yeah. So we have self-care guidelines that were adopted from WHO, World Health Organization, and self-care is that ability of an individual or a family or a community, yeah, to promote health, prevent illness, or in the absence of a healthcare provider,
Yes.
or in a
First aid or-
exactly.
or in
So
terms
it
of
is your ability, you're able to take care of self. And if you look at the guidelines for the self-care, it talks about having such information, sexual reproductive health information, have these mobile apps, what the media is doing right now, able to communicate this information. This information will, in regards to sexual and reproductive health, will empower this girl before they make a decision whether to actively involve in sexual activity or not. We have self-injectable contraceptives where they are able to take care of themselves. And of course, now we'll discuss on other
That's a
part
whole
of it.
discussion.
Exactly. When it comes to the age appropriate and
For
consent,
family
when it comes to
planning.
family
Yes,
planning,
yes.
but you'll have a 14-year-old with a second child in a healthcare facility. So who is supposed to give a consent for a 14-year-old who's come back for a second pregnancy anyway? So the self-care is much to do with empowering the individuals in the community to take care of themselves, having this information, the right information. Our teenagers have a lot of information. We have the AI, we have the internet, and they could Google up something and find that solution, but it's not the right one and the needful for them at that moment.
I think you're talking about sex education.
Yes.
And we have many girls who don't have access to smartphones, by
No.
the way, in underserved communities like where Coleman operates.
Yeah.
So how do you talk to these girls? Njoki, I want you to talk about that. How do we ensure that we have information for teen moms so that they make informed decisions?
Okay, I'd say for that one, physically, as in if you're able to do those forums, those dialogues and conferences into those communities, it will make a greater impact. Because, once you talk to someone physically, it's not the same as talking to someone.
To a chatbot.
Yeah.
AI.
It's not the same because you're not even sure if you're talking to the same person.
It's actually not a person most of the time. It's computerized.
Yeah, so you're not sure. So I think for me, if there are those forums that can be created for you to reach the teen moms, and they just go and you provide them with the support and the education that they need, I think that will be nice.
Thank you, Njoki. Coleman, what can be done? And while you're at it, talk about sex education. Some people argue that sex education makes teenagers sexually active. But what do you think about that?
With or without sex education, naturally, you reach this age when your body just, becomes sexually active, with or without that sex education. Yeah, but what I wanted to say is, the first line of support that these teenage mothers depend on is the family, the family where they come from. So it is really important and in fact critical that these families, the households, are made aware of the intricacies of such kind of processes that their girls go through. Yeah. So the minute we have that kind of level of informedness, then I think we are inching closer to, hitting
the goal
hitting
of
the goal
reducing teenage
of reducing
pregnancies.
teenage pregnancy. Yeah, but if we, because again, look at it from the angle of the myths,
And misconceptions.
the misconceptions, very pervasive.
What are some of those myths that
Number
you encounter?
one, that these young girls are promiscuous. That they just go into this thing knowing very well that what
It is
they're going
wrong.
into.
Yes.
Yes. Number two, the community assumes that these young girls are lazy, that they cannot, because for one, they say that the contraceptives, or rather, the contraception, are readily available and effective. Why are they not using it? You get? Which is not true. We know that actually those things are there. But in terms of access, can we really say that they're readily available? That is not true. Yeah. But
Okay.
you see, we are already blaming the victim
Okay. Yes.
in a way that is not helping the victim. Yeah. So we have to transit from that.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much. We have less than 3 minutes. So, Coleman, I want you to say your parting shot. You have 40 seconds because you've used, I think, 20 seconds of the 3 minutes. So your parting shot, and then Njoki, you'll tell us your proudest moments as a mom and how you're balancing criminology as a personal development coach and as a mother. That will be your parting shot. Now, it's open for you. Tell us your last words. Coleman.
Yes. My last word would be that let us treat teenage pregnancy as an issue of gender equality, an issue of human rights, and an issue of public health.
Thank you. Thank you for being brief. Njoki.
Okay, for me, I'd say the most proud moments of my life of being raising that small human and just seeing him become the best version of himself each day and each day. It's just been 4 years, but it's been amazing. And still, how I balance everything that I do, I'd say for me, balance is not a static state. So it's a dance. So some days are more balanced than others, and that's okay. So I just take a break. I take a break whenever I need one, and one day at a time.
One day at a time. And if you're at home, you're just facing a crisis of being a teenage mom, remember, not all hope is lost. You can still live a full life even with your child, right?
Yes.
Nancy Lynn.
Yeah, and to echo is that comprehensive sexual education is a must, and there is need for it. And comprehensive sexual education does not expose one to either do or do not, but it empowers them. It gives them the sense to understand their body. It gives them the ability to know whether I will engage in sex or I will not. And if I do, these are the repercussions, and how am I going to be helped in case I come up with a story to do with teenage pregnancies. So it's a high time that we all stand up as a community and not to sweep things under. And as parents, let it start from your own house. Before you hand over the hurdle to the teachers in school, start it from your own house. Create that trust with your daughter. Create that trust with your teenager, with your boy in the house. Let them talk to you. By the time they're getting this information outside, they're already informed. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Coleman. Thank you, Njoki. Thank you, Nancy Lynn, for making time to come for this show. I appreciate your presence, and I hope to have you again on the show. All right, that's it. You've heard it from experts and from Njoki, who has a lived experience with teenage pregnancies. Yes, it is a crisis, but yes, the challenges can be overcome. And as a teen mom, you can be able to live a full life and actually be productive and be a useful member of this society. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Chebet Birir. See you again next week, God willing.
Health and Wellness, brought to you by